Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. All right, guys, on this episode of the Bullet Points, we're going to dive into something that I'm seeing more and more common across the left in relation to the expansion of gun rights and the contraction of gun infringements from the Bruen decision, and also conflating it with the Roe v. Wade decision that just came out. For example, and I'm sure you guys have heard it, one of their main talking points that is developing is guns are perfectly legal and they're expanding, but Roe v. Wade is not expanding and it's basically contracting. That doesn't make sense. Well, what I'm going to walk you through right now is a clip from Nancy Pelosi, and then I'm going to back it up with all the wording from the Bruen decision to really prove to you that the position that Nancy Pelosi is kind of leading the Democrats into is lazy, disingenuous, and just flat out wrong. Everything's been linked in the description box below. We are always looking to earn that subscription. So if you guys think that the information we're bringing you is helpful in the fight for our rights going forward and passing that blessing to the Second Amendment to the next generation, please consider subscribing with that bell on. I want to hear from you in the comments. Let's get it. All right. So let's look at Nancy. Again, this argument is lazy and disingenuous and easily defeated when you actually read the decision that she's so upset about. I'm going to show you the clip, set it up, and then I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to counter this, because this doesn't make any sense on any plane of any imagination. Check it out.
It's such a contradiction. Yesterday, the states cannot make laws governing the constitutional right to bear arms. And today, they're saying the exact reverse, that the states can overturn a constitutional right for 50 years, a constitutional right for a woman having the right to choose. The hypocrisy is raging.
Speaking of the hypocrisy raging, Nancy, these are the exact same people who are saying that Roe v. Wade was a codified right in the Supreme or in the Constitution. They're saying that it's an affront to change that decision and bring it down to the state level after 50 years of precedent. Meanwhile, if you talk about gun rights, they're like, oh, it's 200 years old, that's perfectly fine, it's terrible anyway, it's about saving lives. Talk about the hypocrisy raging. Anyway, let's get back to the main point here, because this argument is easily defeated if you just read. All right, check this out. This is actually from the Bruen decision. This is from Justice Kavanaugh. You know, that guy that they filleted and they skewered and they said all these terrible things about? This guy, check out what he said, which actually contradicts everything Nancy just told you on a mainstream publication. Let's get it. Justice Kavanaugh, with whom the Chief Justice joins, concurring. This is his concurring opinion in the Bruen decision. It's linked below if you don't believe me, but this is helpful to know. First, the court's decision does not prohibit states from imposing licensing requirements for carrying a handgun for self-defense. Well, that's weird, because Nancy just told me that they said there's no regulations at all on any kind of state's ability to regulate firearms. That's weird, because I've just read that and it doesn't say that. In particular, the court's decision does not affect the existing licensing regimes known as shall issue regimes that are employed in 43 states. So the state can require you to have a license and have all of these hoops you have to jump through in 43 other states. So the Bruen only affects 6 states out the gate because they did may issue, and we're going to hit that in 1 second. Do you see how this is contradictory to what Nancy just said? Let's keep going. The court's decision addresses only the unusual discretionary licensing regimes known as may issue regimes that are employed by 6 states, including New York. The reason that this was struck down is because the idea of the state deciding whether you do or do not get a right on the Second Amendment is what was struck down. It was not saying that unfettered access to firearms and there are no regulations across the board. I'm not issuing an opinion on that. I'm just saying what the actual opinion is. My point here is Nancy and the Democrats are going down this road of conflating no regulation for guns, but all regulations for female bodies. That's not at all what just happened in this Bruen decision. I'm leaving the abortion thing for a different channel, but let's continue. As the court explains, New York's outlier may issue regime is constitutionally problematic because it grants open-ended discretion to licensing officials and authorizes licenses only for those applicants who can show some sort of special need apart from self-defense. Even in the original decision, Thomas says, so you're saying that you can apply this scrutiny to Second Amendment rights, but not other ones? There are no other rights that are existing that you put a second-degree status on and say you can have these if. That was the whole point. Again, Nancy is hoping that you don't read this because this is not what she's representing. Going forward, therefore, the 43 states that employ objective shall issue licensing regimes for carrying handguns for self-defense may continue to do so. But Nancy just told me that they strike that down. Nancy's lying. Likewise, the 6 states, including New York, potentially affected by today's decision, may continue to require licenses for carrying handguns for self-defense, so long as those states employ objective licensing requirements like those used by the 43 shall issue states. Kavanaugh literally says, all you have to do is drop the you might not get it. You can still do licensing. It's right there in the opinion. It's linked. But the whole point here is it's got to be about drumming up anger and emotion and rage, and that makes one heck of a good talking point and a nice little media clip to spread out to all the friends who are lazy enough not to look, but they can put it on their Facebook feeds. Let's get it. I got one more thing. This is the second part. Second, as Heller and McDonald established, and the court today again explains, the Second Amendment, quote, is neither a regulatory straitjacket nor a regulatory blank check. Properly interpreted, the Second Amendment allows a variety of gun regulations. That's why you need to know. That's what the actual decision says, and that's why this little talking point from the Dems around gun access is increasing, but abortion access is decreasing is an egregious affront. That's not at all what is happening across the board. Those things are not together. They are completely different, and that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and let me know if this is something that you could send out and would help in the arguments as we go forward. Thank you so much, and I'll see you tonight at the 9 p.m. segment. I'm Braden. See you later.